In the present day of 2020, Jimmie Johnson is known as one of the greatest drivers in the history of NASCAR. But back at the start of 2004, Johnson was entering his third year in Cup. He had only 6 career wins to his name and was coming off a second-place points finish in 2003. He was one of the favorites for the inaugural 10-man Chase for the Nextel Cup. But the season didn't start off as well as the 48 team would have hoped. A 5th at Daytona was fine, but a crash at Rockingham led to a 41st place run, and then was followed up by a 16th place run at Las Vegas, putting him 19th in points after 3 races. 2 races after that, though, at Darlington, the Lowe's crew did what they would become known best for. They won.
Jimmie Johnson's so good on the high side off turn 4. White flag this time.
Johnson, I think, said after that charge that Bobby Labonte put on him there a while ago, he said, if that's all you got, that ain't enough.
He may have one more shot, DW.
Jimmie went in a little bit low that time. Here comes Bobby. 18 cars. Just doesn't quite have the steam down the straightaway, but he's going to dive her in here hard, baby. Come on.
I guarantee he'll drive it in down here, turn 3 and 4. He went to the high side, but Jimmie Johnson in the 48 well. He just needs to come nice and straight off turn 4.
Jimmie Johnson, the Lowe's Chevrolet. Jimmie becomes the 41st driver to win at Darlington.
The win put him 6th in points, 57 in the chase after 5 races. The following 6 races would see Johnson's performance consistently improve. While 16th at Bristol was a disappointing follow-up to a win, there were finishes of 9th, 2 4th-place finishes, and 2 2nd-place finishes that washed away any of that disappointment. And with that, the Coca-Cola 600 was next, a race that Johnson had won the previous year. Not only would he win the 2004 running of the event, he would completely dismantle the field.
He moves up to the 5th position. And look at Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's been for a top 5. We got 1 lap to go.
Easy, Mikey.
Second place still in doubt.
Look at him. They're going to be 3 back.
Bobby Labonte in but we stay green.
Caution lights are on. The caution lights are on. The caution lights out.
The line here. Back it down, Jimmy.
It's over if they get to the line.
I think Michael got second.
The field was frozen.
And coming to the line, Jimmie Johnson wins his 2nd straight Coke 600.
The 48 was out front for 334 of 400 laps, 500 of the 600 miles. 2 weeks later, there was more of the same results.
However, as that happens, Jimmie Johnson, who's finished in the top 15,
Stay way down low. They're throwing a bunch of stuff.
all 5 of his Pocono starts.
Racetrack right here to start finish line on the inside. They just threw a bottle and hit.
Jimmie Johnson is going to score his 9th career victory in his 89th start. All of them on super speedways. Jimmie Johnson wins the Pocono 500.
With the win and then a 4th place run the next week in Michigan, Jimmie Johnson would overtake Dale Earnhardt Jr. for the points lead, and with runs of 5th, 2nd, 2nd, and 11th, his lead grew to 165 points over Earnhardt heading into the 2nd Pocono race.
Unless something goes mechanically wrong on this 48 car in this final 2.5 miles, he's going to cruise to victory. He has been dominant so far today.
Well, I guess he is flying right now.
Last lap, as he came to the white flag, Jimmie Johnson, the only driver on the track to turn a lap time under 55 seconds. No charge for second, but still a great drive for Casey Kane to come back from the involvement in the accident and the damaged car. Mark Martin looking to finish 2nd here at Pocono for an incredible 6th time in his career.
And puts him right back in the race to the chase.
Here we come, off of turn 3. Way to go, boys. Back to back again. Thank you.
Play-by-play from the cockpit. Jimmie Johnson comes to the checkered flag and sweeps the Pocono races in 2004. Johnson wins the Pennsylvania 500.
Leading 124 of 200 laps, it put a staple on the fact that Jimmie Johnson was the championship favorite. But as soon as that seemed to be the case, 3 straight engine failures and 2 finishes outside the top 10 other than that in the next 5 races before the chase really put a damper on it. Because of Johnson's great season, though, at this point, it wouldn't keep him out of the chase, but he was definitely limping into the big show. With the reseeding at the top 10, Johnson would start off 2nd in points, only 5 points behind his teammate and team owner, Jeff Gordon. While rolling off the grid second to start at Loudon, the 48 struggled throughout the day. He finished 11th and dropped back to 5th in points, 30 behind the leaders Kurt Busch and Dale Earnhardt Jr. A 10th at Dover the next week didn't help much either. They pushed him back to 57 points back with 8 races left. Neither of these races were killers to his championship title hopes, though. And after 3 top 5s in the first 3 plate races, he seemed very much to be still in contention.
Concerning another championship contender, the 48 car of Jimmie Johnson has been on and off of pit road because of an overheating problem. Matt Yoakum is watching that pit, and the 48 may be headed your way again, Matt. Here he comes.
Phil, they called him back into the pits. The water had climbed to 280 degrees at one point. A tough break for this driver who was 4th in the championship standings coming in. You heard him talk about the Discover car countdown the green. This was one of the biggest hurdles left in his championship chase.
The overheating issues relegated Johnson to a 37th place finish, putting him 9th in points, 159 points back of leader Kurt Busch with 7 races to go. The luck for the 48 didn't improve at all at Kansas also.
Top 10 guys in the running order did not pit.
Oh, trouble behind the leaders.
Jimmie Johnson.
Jimmie Johnson, another championship contender across the track to the inside on the grass. Heavy damage again for the 48. Trouble in the chase.
Jimmy, talk to us, bud.
Pretty mad right now. I don't want to talk right now.
You see him moving around. Caution is out.
Got it in gear.
Yep, gonna try and drive it back.
The 32nd place run kept Johnson in 9th in points, but now he was 247 behind the lead with 6 races left. A miracle run would be needed if he was to even contend for the championship. And it seemed to be starting at Lowe's.
Races before this final 10-race chase, Johnson finished 30th or worse. He's now less than a lap from the checkered flag tonight and a sweep of the season's races here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Last man to do it at this racetrack, Dale Earnhardt, 1986.
That last lap's a long lap.
So what is winning before friends and family meeting? That was it. Jimmie Johnson wins the UAW GM Quality 500. And a good driver and a fast race car have gotten them to within 1 lap of their 2nd straight win.
Boy, McCleary is all over it. Got him, bumped him, and moved Ryan up. Now, this ain't over yet.
No, because he's got to go through this corner now, doesn't he?
Now, Newman will drive by and bump him. Try to take the spot back, but McCleary hangs on to it.
Great race for 2nd to the finish, all the way to the checkered flag. But it's going on behind Jimmie Johnson, who picks up his 6th win of 2004.
With 4 races left, Johnson had jumped up to 4th in points, now 207 back. But on that dreary Sunday afternoon, the championship was the last thing on the minds of Johnson, Hendrick Motorsports, and all of NASCAR. Earlier in the day, a Hendrick Motorsports airplane had crashed on its way to the track. The crash killed all of the members on board, including members of Rick Hendrick's family, including his son Ricky, brother John, and nieces Kimberly and Jennifer. In respect to the 10 victims, for the remainder of the season, there would be a special decal on the hood honoring their memory. This started at Atlanta, and for this race, the stars began to align for the 48 teams championship. Problems struck all 3 drivers ahead of Johnson in points. Kurt Busch blew an engine early and finished 42nd. Jeff Gordon had mechanical issues and finished 34th, 26 laps down. And in an act of over-aggression, Dale Earnhardt Jr. crashed out, finishing 33rd. And as for Johnson,
White flag is up. Final lap in Atlanta. Jimmie Johnson leading Mark Martin.
Got through there a little bit better this time, Jimmie Johnson, but Mark still gained on him just a touch. But Johnson's got it. I mean, unless he makes a big mistake at 3 and 4, Mark can't do it.
This could be 3 in a row for that 48 car.
Buddy, come on, bring it home. Bring it home. Jimmy, don't do any burnouts, buddy.
The emotions of the victory for Jimmie Johnson. He wins in Atlanta for Hendrick Motorsports.
I'll tell you, that's good stuff.
Johnson's third straight win lifted him to second in the points, 59 behind Kurt Busch. The next week, a sixth-place finish at Phoenix pushed him back 2 spots to fourth in the points, but only 48 out of the lead now with 2 races left. And in what will become typical Jimmie Johnson fashion, he rattled off a clutch victory to sweep the Darlington races in 2004.
Final Southern 500 at Darlington. Can he score the victory and close out this racetrack's great history with his name on the winner's trophy and put the exclamation point on a bid for the championship heading to Miami next Sunday? It'll be Jimmie Johnson as the winner of the 55th Mountain Dew Southern 500.
Heading to Homestead, Kurt Busch led. Johnson was second, 18 points back. Gordon was third, 21 points back. Dale Jr. was in fourth, 72 back, and Mark Martin was in fifth, 82 back. Earnhardt and Martin would prove to be no-shows and weren't a factor for the title, leaving it all up to Busch, Johnson, and Gordon. Busch nearly lost the title in what would turn out to be actually a great break.
Right front tire, the wheel breaks. He narrowly misses the end of pit road, but he is still on the lead lap.
After this, as the race closed in on the finish, the championship 3 closed in on one another. This set up for a nail-biting green-white checkered 3-way fight for the championship to finish the season.
And who wins the title?
Tony brought him down pretty nice. Here they go.
Gordon looking for second on Biffle. And Biffle looking for the lead on Tony Stewart. Johnson 3 wide to the outside.
How about that move for Biffle? Hung on to it and took the lead at the same time.
And Kurt Busch making sure they all don't end up in a smoking pile.
Jimmie Johnson second. Jeff Gordon trying outside Tony Stewart. Will he get it? I think he will when he gets down on the straightaway. Got the momentum.
White flag, 1 lap to go. Look at this. Kurt might get challenged by some of these guys coming up behind him.
He certainly doesn't need to lose those positions.
Jimmie Johnson to second. Jeff Gordon third. Kurt Busch in fifth and trying to hang on to that spot. If he stays there, he wins the title.
You may see a Hail Mary here by the 20 car, right on the back bumper of Jeff Gordon. Don't think he can do it.
Checkered flag is up. Greg Biffle wins the Ford 400 at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Jimmie Johnson and Jeff Gordon finish second and third. It's not going to be enough. Kurt Busch is the 2004 NASCAR Nextel Cup Series champion.
As it turned out, Busch edged out Johnson by 8 points. At the time, the closest margin for championship victory in NASCAR history. It wasn't for nothing, though, as this was part of the springboard that helped set up Jimmie Johnson's 5 consecutive championship victories starting 2 years after this, as well as the fact that Johnson went on to win 7 total championships so far. But now that he's tied with Earnhardt and Petty, looking back at 2004, it makes many wonder, what if Johnson's car had lasted at Talladega? What if Johnson hadn't had his disaster of a race at Kansas? What if Kurt Busch hadn't had the good luck he had when the tire fell off at Homestead and had fell out of the race or further behind? What if, in 2004, Jimmie Johnson captured his missing ring?